And you gonna put that on for me. On for me.
I know you put that on for me.
And you gonna take that off for me.
I don't know the next lyric, but you gonna put that on for me. Hey, 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 hey.
And you gonna take that off for me.
Yeah, yeah. I seen on Instagram the other day, there was like this little boy.
Mm-hmm.
He was like a Justin Bieber, like,
A believer.
no, like
Oh.
not a believer, but maybe. I think we all are. No. Actually,
I mean, pastly, yes, but right now I don't know if there's anything to believe in. Like,
ST. I'm not a right now Justin Bieber. Like, I love him. I always love him.
mm-hmm.
You know, like when he announced that his baby was born, I was a little sad. I felt a little hurt, a little betrayed, but I was definitely more of like a Justin,
Like
when I
fangirl.
was younger. You know, like me and my friends, we used to like try to find like phone numbers on the internet and like call
Oh
him.
yeah.
And like I think people were like trying to like fuck with you, so like we found one that like made it sound like it was like his voicemail, but it was like his voice, so it sounded like him. We would like leave a voicemail, Justin, we love you. You know what I'm saying? But no, there was like a Justin Bieber impersonator kid or whatever, and it was, listen, I don't go on the internet and start making fun of nobody. You know what I'm saying? But I do get cringed out very easily. And so I was watching one of the videos, and like he was trying to sing, which I do sometimes too, but as like a joke. But like he'll be like, what's the song? One less lonely girl.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, and so I went in the comments and I was just like, please stop doing this.
You commented.
I'm just
Damn.
kidding.
Did he? Okay, I was about to say, if you commented, like,
that doesn't even sound like me.
that's why I was like, whoa.
You're like, no.
To participate in the trolling, you really gotta like feel affected by the video. Like, whether it's hilarious or super sad or super cringy,
sure.
like, that's the only time I'll comment. Like, and I just got into
stuff?
I just got into that like
Yeah.
a couple months ago, I'd say, because I didn't want. I think before I'd be like, bro, what if someone sees me in the comments and they're like what is she doing here?
It's Ariana. What are you doing here?
No, but like,
Yeah.
now I'm
They
like,
feel that way for sure. Because whenever I see like my brother like comment on certain things, I'm like,
why? But at the same time, when you see people repost the same thing, you'll be like, oh,
yeah,
like I like
different,
that,
though.
like I like that too, or like
so different.
it low key hit. So I'm like, if they see you in the comments, it has to be the same. Like, this is my phone.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say how I feel because it's fun. Like, and then people like your comment sometimes, and you'd be like, okay, cool. Like, y'all agree?
Just like, thank you for validating me.
But I just like it.
Yeah, I not to call Josh out, my brother, but
Like, name drops.
When Love Island was happening, there was like a lot of opinions on like the Nicole and like Kendall situation.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I just remember seeing like his comments, like him giving like his 2 like cents and like on the whatever in the conversation, and I was just like, if like there was like a dislike comment, I'm just kidding.
No,
Josh.
and I completely understand, and that was a weird situation for me too because
yeah,
he's low key my family member. So when at first I was like, why am I like, I was mad too because like when they had the whole reunion and Nicole got on there and she said what she said, I was like, really?
yeah.
Like, we don't need to do this right now considering what just happened.
Yeah.
Like, we could do this in private. If it was that serious and you had real feelings for this boy, you would have. But taking it to the literal live television when you know he got hella people watching and he's already doing that, I was like, And I still didn't say anything because I didn't want, you know what I mean? Like, people on the internet were already clearing it. They were already like taking his side, and he wasn't getting bashed.
Yeah, he was
And
already getting a plethora of opinions.
yeah, so I was like, the whole time it was like a roller coaster of emotions. But overall, I'm glad that he's doing better and
Yeah,
things.
and it's settled down.
Right.
Like, who's talking about it but us?
And it's, but it's hard. And when you get into the spotlight, people always want to start throwing things and bringing things up. But I guess that's when you get to prove who you are.
For real.
And your character can surpass that. You know what I mean? Because the devil's going to try, but
always will.
we're not going to let him.
Always will.
We're not going to let him.
He's always going to try to get you where you're weak at, which is like very scary. But no,
Speaking
that's
of
crazy
that,
though.
I feel like just this whole past week, the whole past weekend, like when I went to Dallas for the Indian wedding, it was an amazing experience, and everyone was excited. And I think excitement can turn into stress. Like there's a really thin line that we don't notice.
Yeah.
And if that isn't dealt with, or at least released in a healthy way that we know to us, it's going to get projected.
Oh, for sure.
Especially when you're in a hotel room with your family, like, and y'all all in the same room. Everyone is
each other's face. Yeah.
has their energy, and it's a lot of overwhelmingness, especially when you're used to just going and doing your business, and like we see each other and we see each other, like, you know,
which is crazy because also like even I feel like one thing that's so wild to realize, which you don't think about much when you're younger, is that you're very different from your family members.
Yeah.
You know, like you're all like very different people, different personalities, go about things differently.
Exactly.
But still have to stay under the same roof.
And of course, there are points and up until points where everyone moves on, moves out, and that happens, but we're still young. You know what I mean? And there are, again, like that opinion we were talking about the other day where it's like, if you can, like some people are like, stay home for as long as you can, save up. If it's cool, it's cool. And it's usually cool. You know what I mean? Like when we're all here, because we all have our own routine.
In other cases.
Like on the flips, like, no. But like, it was okay, but I think we just all weren't used to having so much energy in one area. So we are all good people, but there are obviously strengths and weaknesses, and that's just how it goes. So easily we were all triggering each other, and it was hard. And then we all had to like throw on our saris and put on our bindis and go out and be happy. And it was still a good experience, and things were, you know, said. And
wait,
feelings.
Educate me really quickly, because when you said saris, I thought you meant apology. Like, what is the sari?
So the sari is the Indian dress, and that's the one where you have the shawl over it, and it's like the long pretty one that you usually see like the girls in. And the bindis is the red dot people always say, but it's like usually a diamond or whatever. There's just a lot of jewelry and accessorizing in the culture. So for the wedding, you had to show up and show out pretty much. And that's why my mama was stressing, because she's like, every day is a fashion show for her, which I love. And now it was, again, like, to see her overthink and like stress about it, it was like giving me secondhand and like
anxiety.
Exactly. And like other little things that you let get to you, you know what I mean? And like feelings, your tolerance level. I had to look this up on ChatGPT after, because I was like, am I tripping?
She's that
right
girl
now? Like, I was like, she is. Like, I literally will ask ChatGPT random questions all the time.
All day.
Like, why is my wrist itching? Like, and I'm like, why do I feel like this?
Like a 4 bulletin point list of like why.
And you're like, okay, cool. Like, bet. But so I looked it up, and I learned about a tolerance window. And this is where you are not in your environment, or maybe like, let's say you go out or you're at a friend's house, different environment that's foreign to you, and you're already on edge, and you might not even know that.
Yeah.
But you're, even like when you go out with your homegirls, homeboys, you're looking around, your head's on a swivel. If you have self-awareness, I hope so. Like, I really
Which we talked about last episode.
Yeah, like, I hope so. But you know, when you're in a different state and you know you're not going home, like, it's different, because you feel like
you feel trapped. Yeah.
You feel trapped. And again, this was a growing experience for me, a learning experience. Me and my mama got into it, I think, the most because we're the most similar. And it was hard. And then it's like,
what's your sign again?
I'm a Sagittarius.
That's so crazy that I'm just now hearing that.
What?
There's a reason. I'll say it later. But and then what is your mom?
Libra,
A Libra. When's her birthday?
October
Oh,
11.
actually, her birthday just passed.
Yeah.
Okay, go on. Sorry.
And sometimes I don't like to go too deep into the science and be like, I'm this, I'm that. Like, it makes so much sense. You know what I mean? Like, to be so, like, following of it, because there are things that don't line up too. But it's true. Like, fire is what I bring. And it's, like, a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I try to practice calmness a lot because I used to, like, overreact and do a lot based off my emotions. So I had to learn how to control that. And I usually do, but again, my tolerance window was low. I was in a different state. I was in a room with people who I'm not used to being so close to. And I mentally think that I knew, and I'm such an like aware person that you're going to have to do this for a couple of days. So it was like in certain situations, I did let the steam go, and
Good.
it was let go right, you know what I mean, back.
sure.
And feelings were hurt, and then it you know, we came home, and I think it transferred on. I didn't realize until like the next day. And then we pretty much didn't talk because like you can try to convince the other person that you're right, and they can try to convince you that they're right, but at the end of the day, both of the feelings are valid. It's just, what are we going to do about it?
1,000%.
How are we going to come to a solving point?
Yeah.
And one person, regardless if it's not the like wanted or desired, or you might not want to say sorry because pride again is real. But forgiveness is key because family is forever, and blood is thicker than water. And no matter what, I do, and sometimes, but for the family that you do have and that you do care, whoever is family to you, even if it's not blood. And I think we should touch on that too, because not everybody has a solid family, but you can have family figures who feel more like a mother or a father or a sister than someone who is DNA. But either way, it's the same respect. And at the end of the day, like no matter what, we could have a verbal, physical, whatever disagreement, but my dad and I had a conversation, and he was like, at the end of the day, you're gonna hash it out. And she loves you more than whatever you guys were beefing about. And there's no way that my family's gonna sit here and get mad over a shower cap. And I was like, you're right. Like, you're right. And I was already like, he usually be on my wavelength. My dad is the wisest person I know. And he doesn't say too much, but when he does talk, I listen because it's always hitting.
I like that he said that because we were having a conversation about it the other day, which I like that I'm glad that I'm also learning now, is that when you do get into disputes with people that you love, that's the one thing we tend to forget sometimes in those disputes is like our foundation is love. You know, I deal with you on the daily because I love you, you know? So I feel like when we remember that, it allows you to get to that point that you're able to get to, especially like with the help of like your dad, and just be like, oh yeah, at the end of the day, like she loves me.
Right.
Like I am her precious little baby. You know what I'm saying? And so that makes it a little bit easier and kind of takes away some of like the frustration out of a situation where you're just like, bottom line, like I'm not getting rid of you, you're not getting rid of me. Might as well just make life a little bit more comfortable and like easier for the both of us, and just, you know, especially when it's not a super like piercing serious situation. It's easier to kind of like, I had my moment, you had your moment, now let's get over that.
Yeah.
Have you guys spoken after the whole?
Yes. So what I ended up doing was writing like a note, and that's something that
Cutesy.
I have always been like a fan of. I like to write letters. I feel like nowadays where we have so much fake, it's easy to just send a text, send a message, and it's like, oh, the red heart. Like, oh, he really messed with me.
But she was on her Dear John shit.
But like, I feel like
coming to you from the other side of the world just to tell you I love you.
Putting physical effort and your emotions on paper will always hit harder.
For sure.
Even than trying to verbalize it. Because like they get to read it in your voice, and they get to have their moment and just know that you mean well.
For sure.
So I kind of knew maybe I wasn't ready to say anything verbally, but I was ready to send a message.
For sure.
So I did, and it went good. She sent me, you know, like a thank you text, and I always said like, I love you always, no matter what. And she was like, love you more. And we just got over it. You know what I mean? Because I think everyone understood that it wasn't that serious. And like, I took what I needed to. I know where I need to grow, and I'm sure likewise for her. and putting that into effect is now what it comes to. The situation and the problem is not prevalent anymore. It's what we're going to do about the solution. So I was just happy that there's always a little bittersweet yin yang moment where it's like we're having fun, we're in a different state, we're doing this, and it was an amazing experience. Like 10 out of 10, like everything was beautiful, but there's always going to be the devil in the background trying to like get to you, and when he can't get to you, he come through your mama. So
comes through your mama.
but
Did you mentally prepare at all to stay in a room so close with like your family and like other people?
that's funny because I feel like the way that I've just been living is not. I've been going, and there's so much to do on a day-to-day basis, and there's so much places to be. I didn't even pack until 2 a.m. And the flight, we had to leave the house at 4.
So you didn't even have time.
Like none, even our lives are so busy, and trying to explain the dynamic. It's not like we are absent. We are very like we're present, but we are busy people. Both of my parents, they're entrepreneurs. My sister works 2 different jobs. I have a full-time job, school, the gym, different things, social things, other things that you need to get to, business to handle. So my brain and the way that I like to do things the best I can when I'm there, I like to stay present. Sometimes I try and say like, oh, I'm gonna stay ready so I don't have to get ready. But when it comes to taking a flight and being in a different city, even when you're there and you land, it's like sometimes it don't hit until it hits.
Yeah, because you're so knocked out of your routine. You're just like, what's going on?
Because you gotta
Can
go.
I have a routine here?
Even then, it's like, did I pack? Did I bring my charger? Did I get my toothbrush? You're in the car on the way, and it's still like, wait. You're still thinking back.
Very much so, yeah.
You know what I mean? So like until you get there, and then your brain still tries to take you. Like, oh, say this or do this but wait, like, what a second, like she touched your thing. Like, what do you know? It's very hard, and that's
so
I feel
true.
like
Yeah,
it was like
because flying is already so stressful, and so then like you didn't even get a chance to be like, especially if you have to get 2 a.m. It's just a lot going on.
I did not woosah, so I feel like all that energy we all started giving it to each other because it was a lot. You know what I mean? You have to be on time, and then when we got there, it wasn't like vacation. It was like get ready, go, 11 o'clock, henna, 2 o'clock, this, and again, that's hard for us because we're not used to all doing it together, showing up at one place together, but it was a learning experience, and it gave me a little bit more flexibility. And I think that learning from that, trusting myself, no matter where my situation is, what, how, or why, that staying calm and just allowing my emotions, I can feel them, but be slow to speak. You don't always have to say how you feel, because sometimes it's just emotion for the moment. It's not always, it doesn't always need to be passed on to the next person. And
that's very true.
give yourself 5 minutes and you'll be thinking about like what I'm gonna eat for dinner. So it's like, if you would just zip your lips and let these emotions subside, go take a walk, go do whatever you need to do, you'll find that it's never that deep.
I feel like there's 2 really good things with that, which is why I asked if you mentally prepared before, because I feel like even for someone who, like I said, is recovering from social anxiety, or you know what I'm saying, it's like I don't do it as much anymore because I've been getting better with that, but I used to mentally prepare myself before getting into like certain situations, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like when you automatically put your mind in a certain mindset going into it and being like, this might happen. Be prepared for the possibility of this happening. And so it's like you already kind of trick your mind into being like it's cool. Like, it's fine. You know what I'm saying? And on the other side of it, it is good too, because I remember learning that in therapy once, where it's like, it's really good in situations and fights where it starts to get heated to take a moment. To take a step back.
Walk away. Do whatever you need to do
when emotions are high, because that's when you start to say things you don't mean and do things that you regret, And so when you're just like, I'm going to put a pause on this, which is really good. And I think you said that, like your sister said, to maybe like take a walk, or you can go out, if you want to, but like to take a second, just be like, I'm just going to go clear my head, touch grass for a second, put on a podcast, put on some music, you know what I'm saying? Like, allows for your brain to kind of like reset and just be like, you know, not even, and I don't want to say like certain things are not that serious, because some things are and some things aren't, but still at the end of the day, it's almost like our body doesn't really know the difference sometimes, you know? So it's like in a moment where it's like, I'm already stressed because I'm literally traveling, and not just traveling for just like fun, traveling for a wedding. You know, so it's like you have to show up a certain way and you have to bring certain things, and that whole thing is already like very anxiety inducing. So one thing that we wanted to start implementing at the end of our episodes was answering questions, or if you guys need any advice on certain things, we are the girls to give it to you. So we are going to try to figure out a way so that you guys can ask questions anonymously, and we'll just answer it here on the pod, and hopefully you guys get answers that are helpful to you. But today we do have a few that we wanted to answer. The question for today is, what is a deal breaker when it comes to friendships? I feel like this one some of you guys might agree with, but as someone who's had to let go of people based off of birthday stuff, and I'm not even going to relate it to that exactly. I'm going to go even further than that and say a consideration thing. You know, I truly think that, and I think it plays a part in many different relationships, and it's a deal breaker in many different relationships, not just friendships, that if you don't consider the other person, then I feel like, because I feel like this is love, and under the umbrella of love, one of those little tassels is consideration, considering your friend, considering your partner, considering your family member, whatever, right? And so I feel like if somebody does not consider you and think of, how would they feel if I did this or said this, you know, there's a lot of things that can go under that part. And so I feel like for me personally, I try my hardest to show up the best way I can. And I'm not saying I'm not perfect, you know, sometimes that doesn't always translate, but I genuinely feel like, because the way I know that I move a certain way. And so it does suck sometimes when that energy isn't fully reciprocated. Like when you, like we said, when you give love or show love or whatever, and it's not reciprocated in like that exact way that you essentially expected for it to be,
Right.
that is like a hard pill to like swallow sometimes, which is also okay, because very okay with losing certain people, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
What's meant for you will be for you at the end of the day. But I would say, like, if someone is not a considerate person in what they do, and it also kind of ties into the self-awareness thing, I feel like you have to be self-aware enough to be also considerate. You know, you have to be someone that kind of is able to be like, okay, this is the situation, this is how I should show up in the situation in order for the person I'm dealing with to not feel a certain way based off of like how I move, you know? And not a lot of people hold that. So I would say consideration is a big thing for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And with consideration, I had like a 3 rule. And with friendships in specific, if there's a situation that makes me feel really bad for whatever reason, and if I go over it and think to myself, like, I played my part, I was as considerate as I could be at the time, and if I still feel like I'm not being seen or not being heard, or if I'm being ridiculed, you know what I mean? Because sometimes, yeah, people want you a certain way too, and they want something that isn't really there. It's their fantasy. And a lot of times people will project and they'll act bad, and they'll still want you to glaze them. Like, they'll just be like, all right, you know what I mean? Like, nah, bro, like, whatever, like, okay. And you have feelings too. So I feel like if there's something that makes you feel a certain type of way that someone's keeps like doing to you, a friend, whatever, that definitely needs to be evaluated. And if they're not hearing that or seeing that, then space is definitely the key. Because you don't always have to explain to somebody or tell somebody about themselves. Because sometimes they're not ready to hear that. Sometimes people just act and they throw rocks, they hide their hand, and then you feel crazy. But you don't need that from a friendship or a relationship. And my thing is communication. because I feel like there is no problem that cannot be solved with a conversation.
For sure. A conversation / comprehension.
Right.
Because that's another thing. Some people are like, we're communicating. No, we're not.
Right. Openness.
If it's not penetrating the mind, we are not actually communicating.
Right.
Comprehension is what is essentially key.
And that takes having to put your feelings to the side to actually hear the other person's and see, wait, what did I do? And regardless if you don't feel like that's right, it doesn't matter because you're not always going to agree. We're all different people, different experiences. So how you feel about something is not always the way that it's going to be felt about. You know what I mean? But either way, that's when you get to just say, okay, we're going to let this go. We're going to try to find a compromise in this solution if you two want it bad enough, regardless if that's a friendship or relationship. Communication can solve shortcomings.
I feel like a really good way to practice that is before getting into a tough conversation, tell yourself, I want or pray to God and just be like, I want the ability to listen to understand right now, and versus listening to just respond. Because I feel like a lot of times like people just want to like, they hear you but they don't really hear you because they're already trying to like think of all the things that they're gonna say to kind of like counteract,
they're always,
and be defensive. So if you tell yourself, okay, like I'm going to put the guns down now and put my wall down and just be like, I am just going to show up and like listen to them and try to put myself in their shoes at this moment, that will allow for a way more productive like conversation.
Right. And if you're thinking about the situation and it's recycling in your head, just think about it for a second. Obviously you have love for this person or something. So you need to allow yourself to be open to a solution. Give yourself clarity. You know what I mean? Because you shouldn't be worried about a situation with another human being that you guys can solve. It can be challenging mentally, you know what I mean, to even think about having to face conflict. But trust yourself enough that there will be a happy ending. Regardless if it's what you expect or not, you're strong enough to live with it. And you will find peace. Because
whatever's supposed to happen will happen.
That's what you're looking for. You know what I mean? And trust yourself. On that note, I think we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
It was a great second episode.
It was.
Everything is upgraded. We definitely tried to improve since the first one.
I know y'all peeped the mics and peeped the audio. My brothers were getting at me last night because in the last one, since I had to like up the audio, since like your mic wasn't like working or on.
Dead.
It was like dead. And so like the parts, especially where I'm like laughing, it's just like really loud.
I know. And then
so not too much.
Yeah.
Not too much.
We're here for the upgrades.
So all right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in today's episode to Each Its Own podcast. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.